showing up, you're in your pockets, you're doing your stuff, and going to means you're taking vacation time. I'm not saying some big wage, but at least equivalent to study that Doug did 2 years ago now, where for 18 years from April, not one bump. At least cost of living, at least something to make other people want to, not about me, not about you, not about, I get conservatives, I get you sit there and you can say, we're so proud we stick with nothing, whitish way through it. And I want new people. I want people to be able to run and be able to be whole for and serve this community, no matter what background come from or wage are. That's where I'm coming from. And I blend this completely.
The flip side of that is we don't want it to be the primary draw, right?
You're there.
And it does, by the people run and make, it does raise the cost for office to find a run. Just something to keep in mind if people are leaning away.
So in terms of it being in Blitzers, whatnot, stuff like that, we're talking about, we apply the same like 12 boards.
Boards should be reimbursed for their time, their gas, their mileage. That's how the county works it. Not much, but it's a heck of a lot more if you're doing your job right. It's a lot more if you really vested in being like I think you all.
Well, I'm saying from the perspective of going through and getting the draw of people wanting to go through and do it, it would still take people time.
I agree.
It's not once a week or anything, but I'm just saying the reasoning for what I'm hearing for going through anything is to get a draw for people to go through and apply or file. So if it's go through get people to file, does it also go through and obtain people applying board? The planning board has a fair amount of work to it, and then the other ones below have a lot of as well. So I'm just wondering, does that apply?
I believe
that point.
If these people leave town for a week of training and take vacation time from their employer, or there's something beyond normal board service, they'd be whole. If Ms. Carson takes her time out of her employment to go to a meeting for a week and she loses that vacation time, at least a stipend from your way. I'm not kidding. This is not about me. This is about Sam who takes vacation time or time, probably his kids. Ms. Hunter, if you take time away from your employment, I want most people to be able to serve and be whole, and not use their time they made for family illness, family vacation time, or some other thing. Mr. Mayor, talk to you on the phone. I think you said spend 3 hours a week. You've lost 15, 20 years of watching your kid grow up or us away because you love your community. Many people do that. Many people won't or can't afford to do that. I want anybody who wants to run for mayor or for council to not lose money by serving. It's not about sending tax. It's about getting a wide pool. You don't see a lot of people running. You don't see a lot of people running for city council. I'd like to see a full slate, good debates, and let people have a better choice. A person can send to go backwards or lose money by serving and getting slammed flat for one every other media source is not right. And most people do it. At least make them whole for everything else to put up with.
So what I would say is, we've never stopped this conversation from happening as far as going through an ending budget. I brought up the amendment to take it out, and it was passed.
Okay, let's give it a run.
So
I'm not saying pay the mayor $100,000. I'm not saying every council member $20,000.
Sorry, it's $100,000. I'm running again. I'm not. I couldn't have to fight for you if that case.
That is not. I think Doug and staff did a job on it. At least bring us a whole and keep at least cost of living. Gabriel, we 24% more than she making after 18 years of service.
23.
Sorry, excuse me. And I'll get slammed for this, and I'm up for this about new people, new ideas. Somebody bring the cost, and I completely. And if they sit here and say we do our job, you're basically saying we don't deserve this. Or it's a community service, do it free. No, working persons to be whole. If we have a bunch of old retired people running, if they need it done, fine, let's stay this way. If we want new, innovative, good ideas, more people running, reimburse people their costs, give them a little bit of money for putting up with us.
So a couple of things. One, we can include the official in the resolution that we read June. That's cast a pass resolution for all unrepresented employees. So we have always taken a lot of officials out of that to the point where I just putting it in because always pulled out. I'm happy to put that going back in. That's just one. But I can also update the information we had from however long it was, a few years ago. And then can also consider having an authority review. Go out and look at it that way. Something to do on in terms of, because I would say I've had many years probably behind the curve in terms of, I've you hit it 3 years, without anything. So we can soft that resolution on just base to get that moving, but we can update the numbers we provided and take it into for discussion. You can use that for discussion, or after that, you can look at possibly a third-party review that shouldn't be hard. You're looking at basically positions and comparisons to state. So if we have an objective, if it doesn't look the information that we expect, or that take a recommendation from your employee that a sense of conflict of interest there when I think does have a pretty active process that presented information last time, but multiple things council can do as it relates to that.
You all been so good on keeping up with their police, keeping up with justice for others. Why would you not allow somebody else wants to run for council to have that same luxury? It's appropriate.
I think I go through and see it being a part of something, a mechanical automatic that goes and happens for inflation, stuff like that. There's reasoning behind that. There's math behind it, right? What I always not want to do, go through and be the one who won't vote myself a raise. I will never go with myself a raise. So my point about going through and be part of that is probably something I could get behind. Again, I'm still going through and going like I'm voting myself a raise. I don't want to vote no on budget. So when in there, I have to be yes vote on budget. So maybe there's difference. I'm running again. We look at it different now. See the exit. I'm heading towards exit. I'm out of here, and that'll set the stage for the next person that's in this seat. But that's where I was coming at from is.
And then, Mr. Fish, speaking to what you're talking about, when I wasn't running, talking to different people, and Mr. Grant, you've run to this, the number of people that are sad. Are you kidding me? Why would I run for council? I don't think money has anything to do with it. In all reality, it's a vile vitriolic comment we get at times. They just look, what do I do for the community? When nobody appreciates what you do. They have different opinions, don't appreciate the time and effort to put in. You can pay $100,000. I'm coming back. I'm tired of it.
I understand.
It used to be you could put love of your community. But unfortunately, where we went after COVID, everything after COVID, it has become so vile. Social media run. It's going to be interesting to see if it get file work.
I understand. I just want people to be whole. I don't want them taking a week off to go in a meeting. Important means, don't misunderstand me. In Florida or Washington, it didn't cost me a dime, right? Oh, I spend more money than I make from also at these things. The person working, you happen to your own business, but the working person by the hour, it's much different for them. I have to see at least people be able to go, want to run, want to be in the spot, want to serve, have these great ideas. I at least can whole. All the you just said, Mr. Mayor, be whole and not make their family debt by serving the community. Be whole. I at least going with matrix and get on a constant, which everybody here always end up even to 3-4%. It gives them some vision to be able to budget for and serve their community. I believe completely who can speak, very passionate, involved, run, do it, but at least be whole and not whole. And you all work very hard. And I respect you all so much, but you gotta make somebody whole. Or it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be that nobody follows at least a vision of we will make people cover the costs back home and they're away. Some meetings will be one morning, some trips are down held for a couple days, the bad there's somewhere. It's a cost to everyone. Yeah, your reimbursement of food.
Mr. Fair, the money comes down and can I go and speak to it? Like,
Well, that's something now.
12 years, I've got a lot to write about, got a lot to speak about. Sure, I'll get a lot of money from people buying books like Bert.
Let's start something else.
Free houses, come for me.
There's people out there now look at several seats. Give them something to say that can be in their community. And these people have served for 18 to 24 years, maybe 3.4% rate after.
Oh, Ms. Gill?
Thank you. If I lose my again, not sure what's happening here, but I waft off her. I wanted to say a couple of things. I agree with what you're saying, Mr. Fisher. For some, and it's a choice we made, right? I didn't run for salary, obviously, or I wouldn't be here. I get 4 hours of cake on an annual basis, which is why I'm not able to go to conference. You know, might will do zip to Montana, but I'm not usually able to go to the continuing ed stuff because I can't afford the time away. And if I do take it, I have to pay. It reminds me, I was born and raised Catholic, and when I had this a whole day during the week, I go for a whole next week every day, take up missing one day. So it's kind of puts us a bad spot there. Hopefully everyone's employers heard about when you request time off. Mine lets me, but they don't give me the time I have to take leave. I don't know. I also think, if my memory serves me right, we had one council member when I was on council, when I first got on, that refused stipend. I don't think he would take it. So I think there's the option as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody felt strongly about it and didn't want to take it, they wouldn't have to. But you're right, Mr. Fisher, it's limiting our pool of people that are willing to run. And if people either can't afford the time who are or willing to take time and use that vacation time for like that. Hopefully I didn't miss anything there. I got it off. It's already covered. That's it. Thanks.
I guess I think are being made whole and going through doing this word sacrifice. I'm not saying half has to be sacrificed, but I mean public service.
Shut up every day.
Believe me, no. I'm saying that from what he's talking about, as far as if you're made whole for what you're doing,
you sacrificed for all these years. I don't want to explain to. There, good for you. Good for you.
Would anyone jack by up to numbers had from a couple years ago?
No.
And based on conversation, when we the non-resident employees, the elected official get UD, and therefore, if council wants to take it out, council that option, and it can make the donation at that time as well. And then we'll see when conversation goes. That suffices for tonight.
Okay.
Take in, take out. I don't want people to be able to run right now and let this now is Arlington. Let's make a commitment and stick with it. Take it in, take it out.
We jump into this too much, but just what I've said previously in the discussion, which is the amount where we two isn't important. I hear what you're saying, and I think a good point. I there's valid validity to that. To me, the more important thing having a formula, the idea that you go 20 years without any change, just you wouldn't find that anywhere else with any other position that's paid. And so having a formula, but I agree with Mr. Graham, the idea of vote for yourself raise, it's also inappropriate. You see that Congress stuff, they're voting for their own raise. And so having a formula is what makes sense to me, that you take council out of it. Problem is, first time you vote for a formula, then it's all over social media that you voted for the raise for yourself. And the fact of, I've gone up 23 years, the amount I'm talking about are probably going to be pretty minuscule, even if, it goes a little bit. It's not a significant amount of money, but that's not going to hurt in the public, right? So, but one of the things that I proposed last time we discussed, I think we had the example of kind of looking at comparable to other cities, kind of falling in the middle of that, which I think is a good approach. Whereas, all the risk that there's some other cities that really jack up their numbers and affect it, and we may not want to go up that high. And there's another approach, the COLA, cost of living, going up, and the proposal was to have both of them and to lower two. That way you're always having pressure of not going up too high, right? So you can do both calculations, take the lower two. That's it. That would be my purpose. So you kind of build in check. So, and because of COLA, you could have, we had 7% inflation, years, and we don't see that either. We want to on that. So
That was all state. Something to give new people a vision of at least be able to go with COLA. And so remember a matrix. I'm not in a million years seeking to be that city council that goes to the top matrix. I want people. That's what I have a problem with.
I would agree with both of you. It's not like we're doing this for $100,000, as you said, but, carried with 23 years, some of the rest of us 12 years. Just have a little bump, to maybe say thank you for since COVID, as you said, everything we dealt with, everything we put forth over years. And I know this one, when me votes, I have not filed yet, but though to myself a tiny little stipend increase, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Not when every employee elsewhere is getting at least a cost of increase. So.
Ms. Gabriel?
Here, I forgot most important pointer that I had a couple of stars. I was when stars bring our ways were low where they should mark whatever you call it. We had to go through that process. I'd hate to see us in that position and people come on and decide, that want to change it. It was a huge search for words, guys, when there's such a difference in where they'd like it to be and where it's at. Trying to bring it closer would make it more and more difficult, I guess, if there's not some, and maybe the way that Ryan said it made more sense, taking the lower of the two, at least put it so there isn't such a huge gap in which should be if that makes sense.
So
Ms. Hunley?
just to put it in perspective, the councilors get $1,000 a year. Right? I think that's what our weight is. At 0.5, that's $101. We're not talking about so people are out there, reporting or talking about it on Facebook. I think about 3.5% be $181. That's to make anybody right. It's really not. So knock that. Here you make what 50,000. I think what you're saying. I'm kidding. Use a little bit more, right? So it'll be a little different. But yeah, I've historically been against this, and I got it, and I'm still a little bit. It's really our new, and they're really going to do anything to make anybody right. We break that out of the number of things we have in a year. That's not very much in there. So I just thought put a little point of fact up there.
Mr. Sure.
Agree with that. A couple of pizzas here, month, whatever. But stipend for taking time off a working person that takes vacation time or like Harry has asked for time and doesn't have in the books or doesn't have the vacation time or not whole, then some formula to make those folks who should attend important means to educate themselves for those they work for, and some breaking point of a stipend to be whole beyond that. I think the point for something, even though it doesn't mean much, at least if somebody expected running, see it go up, that could a lot of them. It can keep up with their care, keeping up with doggy day, keeping up whatever. But then the reimbursement or rate should be determined if a working person on council takes away their employment. And it should be for anybody because there's costs that come back home to you. That's really what I'm looking for. That makes perfect good sense. And seems to make the employer of people who are working the wage too, they don't feel bad if they say, no, you can't go, or that's good for the city either, not continue their education, keep up with what they need to do to better serve their community. It's a simple request to me, not for me, for new people.
So one thing I've seen along that line, some municipalities will do like a type of a meeting thing that's outside a standard one. You could do that on, say, so these educational conferences have, X amount of spend per day type thing. That's another option. And I've done this there, in terms of following up on your discussions outside of that base that is something that other cities have used.
Seems to sense me, but I'll at this point that you will.
It's just about for me about commitment. And you understand where I'm from.
I appreciate you. I appreciate Chad. I know it's going to hit me right now, and I'm looking at the next day.
Yeah. No, and I guess just the other respect is when I got announced, I got to fill out a W for and I went, what? Because you get paid. I get paid. Here, I had no clue the rant be made that I got paid. I didn't do it. Even thinking about it. It's costing me, I need to be reimbursed. And I think that's when I step back and look at it. I look at Brent, it's altruistic. I look at things and I get communities, what we can for time and talent for communities. And I've all seen that commitment, something that I volunteered of.
Yep.
And I understand your perspective as well. But I also understand that I'm going to go back a long time. We had a lot of people sacrificed a lot more to get us from government. They worried about making $100 a day or $100 a month. Put their business on the line, they put a lot on the line. Give us a representative for government.
I know.
I ask people to look at your heart and understand what is true. I think that's part of what's wrong with today's society is too much what's it for me versus what's meant for all. When I look at sacrifice, I look at sacrifice for my family, it's because of my family that I sacrifice this. It's trying to make something better than. So those kids can look back their adult and go, I'm glad I did this. Now I want to be in hell. And I know it's altruistic. I understand your perspective, but it's my hope and my wish people should look down at their hearts and say, what can I do for my community? Perspective of how complicated.
One thing, lady, as a child, wants to serve community, they're paying $12 an hour for care that works till midnight, spends 20 hours a week in packets, and she wants time to be able to focus on business to at least come close. I want people who can't necessarily make it so out is what I want to see.
We're doing a lot of dating stuff here. If you really want to find out if this is acceptable for the city, you put it on the back.
We'll have candidates for 5 positions. Make it one platform position.
I know what I mean.
I'm just saying, pretty easy. Pretty easy to see where, what value. I think to Russell putting it up is worth further discussion. I'm lame. I'll just stay. So.
Well, I'll update numbers. Like I said, we'll have the salary resolution coming in June, which may not be a decision point, but at least a starting point, and it wouldn't surprise if we're back in another session. Talk about the issue prior to the final budget being enacted. And one clarification, you said I handed you before, I actually handed you power of attorney. You were advised to sign documents as well.
Yep. Read for us.
I have some power of attorney to sign documents. Are we okay moving forward?
Yes.
Please.
All right. City budget. The obviously a big drop. Those months aside, we had to do a additional cane. Everything else is just some small modifications. Some of the contact services are for some enhanced media stuff and some design components related to it. Finance. Pretty forward. Big increase contract services. Hopefully, by the time we're at the final budget, we're looking at the soft implementation that was done for budget software. Still, you never know it, but the amount of work that finance department puts into Excel spreadsheets, it's beyond time to update it. So until we get that soft last year, and like I said, in the implementation process, so by the time to the final budget, that'll be built on that new soft platform. And one of the things I do point out, we've seen obviously growth and had a discussion with the finance department, Amy, about potentially adding on in person, especially in some aspects of finance. looked at it and it came back, they think their proposal of alteration of duty within the department. And so I just want to give the finance department credit for trying to find ways to streamline activity versus add staff in. And that was a discussion point that there's, we're going, but it's not growing. And it doesn't, in fact, SB and the annual, we had one auditor and our base auditor dropped out because of the complexity of government events. They don't keep up with the regulations. So still, just from the auditing team, they all on Amy, Lee, and Gary. So just want to point out what staff are doing in terms of really looking at duties and trying to divide them out and create a more mind operation internally versus just NFTs.
It has to be changed, don't necessarily make our answer more accurate.
Oh, yeah, full of PhDs get together to advise rules for accounting presentation for a person on the street. I have no sense of PhDs that are in that room, not anyone else.
I think they go for the CC after that.
So, yeah. City attorney, look at carryover software, again, the same last step, our application files talk closer and more consistently with the court system. Again, that's approved last year, pretty much carryover based on the implementation time frame. Everything else, pretty much similar. Again, same back component. And again, another thing I want to point, I talk about every year. I talk as we get to the end of the year. We don't do mad rush, go out and spend what's not done. We have a history of showing that in terms of balance, that if not needed, it's not spent. We don't have that, saying, well, if I spend, it's not going to be there next year, because it's been very full commitment of, we levy one year, we want to make sure if you do need that it's there. But we also see the departments not doing incremental increase in their budgets on an annual basis just to try and get higher. And she looked at courts, it's pretty much what it was last year. And I think that a huge benefit, and it demonstrates the fiscal commitment that our departments have as it relates to these funds. So sometimes good to close that.
Salaries in municipal court, are they keeping judge and such?
So judges on the same system as takes the average. That would be one that, hurt to back out to the market. That one, because it's been kept out of that system. So happy to get that as well in terms of that one's out, because that would be, when it's just, when they first established it, the same everyone gets, kind of my contract works well. So I think that's definitely part of the discussion. The position is an elected position in terms of where the market for that.
Sorry, how do you calculate it now?
It's the same as the average of the rest of the employees of the city. Just the average of the employees.
Of Kalispell, so
Yep, says my correct.
Oh.
Is it average of the employees of the city?
Is that different than the average similar position in other cities? How it come about?
An elect position, and it's kind of different, the NC's variability across. So that's just, there wasn't anything, I can remember when we put that in place, but that was like sort of the question at that time, is just used as a average mechanism, like it's an elected official position, so there's not a range type thing to enter into. So like, we have no one in where the previous judge had left off at. That's the one put in, it worked. Where it's, I could speculate, I have some suspicion, but I think he probably unwise to that out there, but that's one that could review well council. So, not hearing any objection to that. Okay. Just write that down, something for the phone. Okay. Move further down. Actually, that it. All the general administrative functions. So anything we've hit so far. Okay, move into development service. Which starts the planning department. As you can see, similarly, we've been talking about. You have the grant component that received through the ADU, but not the present grant. That's an additional one that development services was able to acquire, so that I'm finishing that out. But otherwise, pretty similar. Here.
So this does pertain to the previous fund, you pointed out the housing grant, the funding, partly funding the staff person to help us with the ADU implementation. So it's where we complete with that funding goes away. That staff person, what's our expectation for the future?
Maintain. We had that position in previously used without the fund to submit, and basically identifying through this use plan, we're going to put that much time into it. So basically just being able to support through that.
Because I'll bring again, I'm still thinking about a housing homeless dedicated person with the planning department, and there it's this per transiting that after we have 3 minutes more staff time that the person can have take that on as part of their responsibilities. Where I saw the redundant work comp raise about 1,000, where we can dedicate some of that thing for all to a staff person within management for that purpose.
Well, so first question I have is, no one else has talked about that position, is what that position even do? Because I brought the housing authority before and nowhere with it.
Yeah. So I mean, this is going back from to first time I came on council, I've been pushing the whole time, which is coming up with a housing task force or committee that produces a affordable housing plan for the city. So that staff person would staff that and help produce that plan. And then there's implementation. And one of the components that I've also thought would be a great opportunity is our city lots in town. Partnering with profs, just as we with the Charles Hill and heading off the ground, that would have a staff person working with non-profit partners to develop a product that we go out, get a tax credit, and help the nonprofit get grounds with development of restricted affordable housing on our city lots. Have success with it. It's a multi-year project. It would require a lot of staff time. If we got success with one on the ground, have some more lots could do it on 2, 3 additional ones. So that would be a vision. That, I think, be enough for several years worth of staff time for that position.
Then I guess I bring it back to when I brought up for housing authority is pushback because we don't want to go into the areas other services we're already in. That's exactly what it's doing.
No, because my collection of that conversation concern from the service community was to over the nature program, and that would not.
No,
be,
that was never part of it. That was we're not taking over Section 8 program.
well, that was the concern was that there would be basically that housing authority operation by the city would inevitably get to taking over the second. That's essentially what I was saying. That's the main operation, and that the expectation from the social service community was that they would eventually get there, and their control of that program or use of that program would get risk. Even if we stay out, not in that. So I'm saying that where we go or not. That was the risk and concern that they expressed.
Yeah, okay, was somebody here said that not what the intent was. So I knew it, and yet they still know it doesn't move forward. So I guess is want to more with the housing authority to manage housing. Are those specific doing to do that? In terms of plan, we had a plan before we got to this stuff. So into it, all of a sudden run this whole housing program. I think going to have limitations on what this is. But you want a housing authority to fully engage the program. Again, what I brought up.
What would your description then of the difference between what described of a staff person and housing?
Because you're going to have something a continual program. You're not going to be running and managing housing development. You're going to be building. You're going to create opportunities to manage a portfolio of real estate. That's exactly what you see housing departments these do. They manage public owned housing.
But that's not what I'm imagining. I'm imagining the seizing over management of the structures and doing the rental applications and all that. Nonprofits would handle that. It would be
stopping them right now from that.
One is having access to land to build on, right? And financing, and that's where the city can come. We have surplus property, have funding that could help with the cost of it if it's in the right TIF district. So I understand you have to some of the rules around that. We've had that discussion.
They brought a thing to
Right.
I don't remember being anything out.
Right. So it may not be our little nonprofits. We had homework the Junks. Maybe we partner with them. Out of Zula. It may not be the local group.
But any can come to city at any point in time.
Yeah. Be proactive to go to them, an idea, and be an active partner in facilitating a project. They could come to us. We could go to them too, especially if we had staff dedicated to coming up with ideas and
So that's your objection to a housing authority.
Well, it depends what you mean by a housing authority. You're telling me that housing authority would take over the management of structures, deal with. I know that we need to do that if we have a partner that has experience in doing it and does it with other projects. Why can't we can save ourselves the burden of doing that, partner with them, and let them do it, and it'd be less staff commitment on our end. So we don't need a full-blown housing authority. We have a staff person that dedicates them to it.
Okay, I'm internal council where you want to go with it.
Besides staff time, the additional money for running that office, where would you envision that, doing these projects and all, where would you envision that come from?
So, it would be operated out of the planning department. We'd have staff person dedicated. So the question would be, what are these you're thinking of?
So I guess I'm just thinking, Doug, what would be different if CAP did that day, or United Way, or the nonprofits are out there that have this capability and the gumption to put forward? What would be different than them just come to us? instead of us paying tax dollars to do that.
Maybe they don't see that, we have the capacity, willingness to drive to help them with at that point. If we
I think in all reality, the deal, if looking at an existing inventory, through there, then like with the Charles Hotel, identify a piece of property, request for proposal, and vote on that,
Right.
and put out, hey, nonprofits, they have what they want, and here's the structure of the deal, just like with the Charles Hotel, can be the same type of thing, versus adding a staff person to do these things. We can look through what parcel will be, put out the parameter of what we want, request for proposal, and set out what we for entry. That's a lot easier than adding on position that if it does, I mean, why? I mean, we're looking at really what I'm hearing from you, Mr. Hunter. I want a person to encourage and go try to get someone to come in and here to use up some of the city property. Then let's just get some city property out for us for proposal. We need to hire anyone to do that. We look through master plan and go, okay, let's look at this.
Yeah, we'll just inventory available land and distribute that and see if anything's feasible for any development.
So, in my involvement in putting together projects, and I obviously different types of projects that I do in my professional life, waiting people to get in and just, hey, I want to work with you. Yeah, you get some projects, but you're getting a lot more projects if you go out and you work yourself. You have up and dedicated, going, building relationships, talking about how it might work, and developing the project together. You're more likely to have success. And so that's the problem I've had in my years of council. It's kind of let's let people come to us and them do the work. Well, let's be proactive. Let's put some time, staff time, effort into going out in the community saying we are really serious about acting practically to address the price in our community. You have a person who's going to work with you and drive some ideas, and it's not just, I mean, this is the idea I like, I think is, one that can act on now. Like I said, develop a committee, develop a plan, we'll have a number of ideas this person could work to implement over time. And, so if this was not a great idea or consider he's and it'll just like magically happen, there's other ideas out there that we could be pursuing and a step person being dedicated to pursuing, I think, increased likelihood that we will actually make something happen.
So up to the next year, $2,000 a year to those.
So the example that you have of that happening right now, aside the lens of nonprofit that would this would apply would be Jared going to a property owner, maybe out and this or something, talking and driving and saying, hey, we want as a city, we want to talk to you about develop property. That makes what you're saying on the prop side. That's what that person would be doing, would be going and listing projects on property that could possibly be done on, would be the same as Jared going out to vacant lots that are put land and saying, hey, we're sitting as a city going through getting, my gosh, I can't even imagine that were to happen. That would really be bad.
What other cities do is identify that and just the message they put out for enough queue.
Well, right, exactly.
I mean, what they put parameter of the relationship in with it. We talk about, being aggressive, and I'm going to go back and I'm not liking hearing it. Proposed housing authority where we'd actually developer, and how much more involved and active is outside of that. I mean, that's like being developed for affordable housing was preeminent, and it got a little support.
I was open to discussion, so I mean, so on housing authority, and it's not, super clear on the distinction here, but if we did a housing authority and we become the developer, where's revenue coming in for development? And like the value I'm seeing is you're putting TIF money or some surplus funds or whatever towards, seed money towards a project. That's all potato. If you're actually going in a developer, I mean, where's that, under housing authority, where's that coming from?
Well, it's any development that starts. It's where's the money from a developer? The development. You fit in whatever mean mechanism you have, and you basically create the development. The housing authority created its own. I can look at the regulation around it, but it becomes somewhat its own entity in forth with it. But that was what was proposed. You'd have someone that is actively looking at creating that development, and it'd be more than like partnered with a third-party developer. Fairfish is a great example of what they did, and it was inside the housing authority, but it was a management of it. Housing authority, you have an entity that is committed to for development of parcels, and it may be lots and for sale under respective components. It may be management of listing lots of rental agreements, but it is really establishing an organization to create that and to be active in it. And that was proposed, and nothing to do with section or any other resources that were there, and that was explained fully at the time. But I was concerned about and what we as well, do the housing development, but a number of years later.
No, I agree. The we have say right now is real proactive in doing housing development, and CAP is acting and living now, and they talk about to come back and do some more and they have all kind of cottage developments. But there's not, I want to see June grass, with homework come in with a tax credit, and at the kind of the situation we're in now, it's going to be a year before we get another June grass. I would like to see where we're beating that up, where we're narrowing time from between one grass and another, and the housing authority allows us to do that. Yeah, I'm all for it. Let's have that conversation. I'd be open to looking at that.
Is it created by ballot, the housing authority? We create that as a council.
I have to back and look, it might be, a vote, allow out into what the steps may be. And you may be looking at a vote, and then, like if there's the one for a kid levy fund.
I guess still go. I address was a good project thing overall, and you hit it on the head, right? That was money that came from the state, like it wasn't us. So yeah, money isn't there. We have a housing authority where we expedite if the money isn't there. So that one part. The other part of it, I don't really honestly go back and talk about it. Housing authority. When we bring it up, I remember we were all same page of trying to go down the path of what you're kind of talking about, and instead I looked up in the crowd and it was a bunch of angry faces from the nonprofit organizations that do that. It said very loudly with fist pumping in the air and scowls at us and living word at us from the crowd that they don't want us to do that. And because of that, in my mind, they see that deal. Chips is gone. Because I want to go with that again. So that's where I go to us.
I don't remember it way at all. I remember some concern.
Wow.
I think it's exaggerated opposition that there was that concern, and my memory of it was around the risk of the Section 8 veterans in particular. Regardless,
Yes.
maybe my memory's bad on it, but I don't recall it way at all. But again, putting together a committee, I just want proactive. I say this all the time, but proactive initiative on the issue. If we had the proposal for a housing and homeless advisory committee, we could tap them looking at housing authority and talking about pros and cons, as well as other options available might be available to us, and have a staff person that's dedicated to work with them and put together a plan. What's the best solution for us to do more on this issue, whether it's housing authority or something else?
So we're planning in the budget. Broader discussion component, not discussion, a much broader one that we're not solving planning in the budget itself. So what we can do is I go back and go find the material that wears and see what it is, and at a future meeting, so can provide guidance on what you'd like to see and what action you would go and take from that aspect. If that suits us, like I say, not bad discussion, no. I think just going beyond, the analysis budget. Okay, Carrie, okay. Main development budget is still there, and most of that fund out of urban rural districts, which will spin to. Actually, this stayed pretty similar. Jared, did you have anything you wanted to address? We moved from zoning. Talk about it. Donnie's been doing work in planning.
Yes.
Divisions. It's not like it's just space.
Right. I mean, there's plenty of work in the planning department, and the use plan is going to continue even after it's presented to council and presumably adopted that, the housing study that's in budget, we're going to have to initiate that, and that's going to take some time, and zone updates, subdivision updates, and then looking at different sections of the use plan as time goes on. So it'll be continual, and obviously as development happens, that's continuing as well. So there's plenty of work around. Right, our focus is that.
So let's see, community development aspect, like I said, very similar. That is through those divisions within the general fund budget. Any question on the bin department?
3 years now. 3 years.
Yeah,
Go back now.
3 years now.
Numbers to say that we would have a big off a couple years ago, and it kind of maintained itself in terms of pets coming in. The expenditures, this is own SLAs by revenue fund with restrictions associated with it, so funds stay within those activities. I don't know anything you want to highlight.
Yeah, we expenditure a bit on revenue last year. Our blink permits are coming a bit higher than we thought, but just things are kind of up down now, so kind of level it out and keep weighted for now. Don't project being up that 3 years. That's allowed anytime soon. Just pretty much revenues and expenditures are about equal, and that's what we see going in next year as well.
So developers coming in over the last couple months, are you hearing anything of the trepidation with global unrest or tariffs or anything like that? Or just still pulling trades on?
But it's still strong. I mean, it's still strong. I mean, multifamily is down. Obviously, let's see families up, and the commercial construction the last 2 years has picked up. Any of the losses would have had as it in commercial construction is pretty high right now. A lot going. So.
Why the substantial increase in furniture and only 190 was used and 5,000 now?
We didn't coach him.
Sorry, where at?
We're here, furniture.
Or actuals were 190. So we pretty much have budgeted. That's when we've had staff.
It's,
Staff, like rarely, under the line item, rarely spent. That's what's saying on that.
Yeah, my guess is 2 years were
Yeah.
the actuals.
The
Yeah, probably
actuals.
1,000 budget, and
Okay.
I have to go back and verify,
Okay,
but that,
thank you.
yeah.
I understand that.
Last year, 5,000 budgeted.
Nothing.
Nothing spent.
Yeah, we have the actual for F-25 there. Okay, any questions with that?
Can I ask one more? Minister transfers to central shop, and is this where?
So that version, things with general fund, like, are some of the finance processing, because this is special revenue for almost enterprise in itself. It's classified as an enterprise fund. You used to have all the kinds of overhead, portion related to council time, in the policy realm, so it's, all the outside general, that administrative transfer
Thank
component to it. And that form isn't for the budget. We do have different services, special revenue funds as well. So the revolving loan funds, we start transferring the loan over to Montana Second Development. Still have residuals related to it that from time to time actually will zero all out. In Morningstar, Green Acres funds go through their housing grant and expenditures. And do you want to turn the house ready?
So that's the things that council, I know that's been a top of conversation in the past. At the time, there's been so much in the housing market that maybe the idea was it was the right time. The housing market obviously has slowed down a little bit. There was an opportunity in the housing grant and is also required to Bill 82 to have a housing study. So look at doing that. There's a lot of units built over the last couple of years. So by the time we get to this, should pretty indication where the markets and what our needs are. So look at once those funds are allocated, looking going out for proposed to procure a housing study, which obviously been on some people's radars for a while. Was when put that group together, did funding water and sewer facility plans also a component of the Senate 382 because you need to plan for growth and plan for housing, which directly tie to water sewer. So those funds would just go towards those projects which are away, and just remaining to be I believe about 2 years of time to do planning process for Senate 382 and a latest plan. That align with the state award, and then that's what we put there in our grant application. Awarded the same amount that we requested a couple of years ago.
Can I clarify kind of components of the housing, see what exactly is going to be studied?
We haven't gotten to that point yet, but it's an amount of money, so we should be able to get pretty raw study. But we haven't gotten to the point of going out for polls or anything. So once it's ready, we'll be looking to put that out. But I don't have any detail at this point. And then that is enough to cover a pretty detailed study.
I just want to clarify, since we are bridging up past a little bit some of our previous conversations. I don't know if this is clear in the past, but just so the record put it out there, that when I've talked about kind of the housing plan and stuff, I've intend to be a two component. One is, yes, housing study where you're looking at shortfall and what we need, and what our housing stock is, and all that. When I hear, kind of seeing that, that's what I thinking about is kind of like what's out there, what we have, and what we need in terms of the housing stock. But then there's the second component that I've always envisioned as being the twin sister or what the partner in that, which is then what are we as a city going to do to get those units on ground at an affordable rate, and what are those strategies that other cities are doing and so on can help move that ball down the field of more affordable housing to just the need that the first part of the study identified. So a two-part component. I love that this includes both components. My initial understanding was the first component, the second, but
You cured it. A housing study is comply with law, identifies the units that are casted out. Right. The rest is just what we're talking about.
Right.
10 minutes ago. With that, a lot of things, administrations, you always include zoning, prohibited by state law. So that's what does council want to do in the study? Does the council want to, again, just go through the discussion just had in terms of what efforts we wanted. Do we want to go with A or B or C without get back to those details? So that's a larger, this complies with state law in terms of what that component is. Second, because discussion of policy of council.
and a plan would identify what's options. It doesn't necessarily, it's not like you delegate power to generate, this is what we're going to do. It identifies those options are. It identifies, committees might work best in our community. When it comes to council, we may select everything in the plan as options. We say, B and C, but not D and E or whatever. That's what we want to do. So,
I'm pretty sure the plan will address what the council's options are with tools you have. Those tools are available. Montana have very limited tools. Really, it'll be likely focused on housing and house supply and how do you plan that housing. That's been issued nationwide. Communities have planned for growth. In some way, maybe planned on not growth. So that's the idea is that, you have to plan for 10% growth. That's going to eat this population, how much housing, where are you going to do it, how are you going to sit? That's going to be the idea behind it. I think what this plan will help maybe be help the development community understand how types need. I think that's something we're missing is okay, how many multifamily housing units do we have need over the next year? Right now, it's obviously we've had 0% vacancy, so we know it's supply, but identify different housing types and generally what types of units we're going to need initially. I mean, you'd say 10,000 units, but how's the makeup of that? Is it multifamily, all single family? Is it a mixture? So I would expect the plan will nail it down a bit more so that we can land those areas, those different types of units be, and go from that direction.
Yeah, I think it's really cool and it'd be great to do that. But there's kind of next step in that too, which is you can look at how many you need, but also know that, or, we document as part of the study, as I understand it, is you need like 7% vacancy rate to start bringing on the prices of rent, which is we need to do. And so what do we need? But also, do we need to get to 7% vacancy rate and until units in our community to put that pressure on, stabilizing and between rents.
And even we're working on land use plan, we're trying to project 10 units, stop 5% vacancy. But we can only put that number out. We can't control how things develop.
Right.
Reality development cap hadn't happened in this community fast enough to keep up with that.
And that's
And those are supply chain and labor, and no matter what we do, those are certain factors that we're not able to control.
right. I totally agree with that. That's also why I think that they're a component of working on the subsidized side and with nonprofit stuff to get to units that, ultimately the market is incredibly important. It's the big gorilla in the issue. But as you see, once you start getting, like we've had more family developments come in, they turn off spigot. Right, and you want really that spigot to keep going because that's what's going down the price. We don't want to be turning off the spigot yet because we're not there yet to bring those prices. Mark going to respond, turn off spigot, and that's where we need to around and to build the unit that are adjacent, market adjacent.
Every time the government gets involved in the market, it ends very poorly.
I
Just
think
say that.
an unrelated market results in some pretty
And
much consequences too.
Other cities, when look at, if look
perfect
back, the worst part for housing us as country, and we had municipalities not voting to approve projects, finding reasons not to approve. We have to vote to approve, and that's where when we see something come forward, not everything might exactly as we really want it, we damn well better be voting to approve it. Because we want inventory, we don't want to stand in the way. We've been doing that time and time again, full room, approving units, because I understand one of the best things is the market. And it doesn't start to slow down from puts yet. It's slowing down, but not as fast as we thought it would slow down. There's still a lot of new starts going.
There's a couple of units under construction in the anecdotal year that they are still filling in, but they are offering a lot of incentives to get in. So, and rents have plateaued. That's huge. Most communities, they haven't plateaued. Median house price has come down. Other communities haven't. So it's definitely making a difference enough, but trends are better than a lot of communities are seeing. So it's definitely positive coming.
And I've also said, our Vol project, I think, much better than a community, and that absolutely is helpful. We have seen a number of projects come in where the change, we had one was changing and the multifamily because of the terms, those prices stabilizing in the family might be on the horizon in terms of prices. But, yeah, in terms of, sometimes might make some turn down project with the expectation that, that there's not enough housing in it. And they back if they got denied with more housing needs than they came forward with. So sometimes you can say no if it's not being our hand. I mean, like, I think it.
Back budget.
Good.
What are you eating?
Ice
Two
cream.
big snacks? I have a sandwich ocean with, but you think. They don't really take.
Second grant,
So, but it's stop.
looking for additional funds for that. They come available. Same thing, the revolving loan for petroleum energy substances. Available if need is there. The airport is in here. And then that was approved. Safety for all is finish up the current planning grant is through there, and obviously just aiming on potential for move forward on the which will reset the public for. And get undeveloped services even in that. There's our inter grant with high vehicles that have been ordered, so on them even further. And breaking into our funds. So, estimated bringing it on an annual base. I have here the projects, and this will change a bit. Third Avenue is going to be tested because shifting down to Woodfield down by Dredge Park. Eliminate for the redundancy in there, but Dr. Year probably have some great work through there. These are going to tie in with that, so more come on that one. And then availability for redevelopment activity that may occur. Again, if we move forward with Safe Streets Law, we'd recommend looking at the water infrastructure along Main Street, incorporate that. May end up have bond down on TIF for that, but that's one the town plan was always in there. The need for seeing that infrastructure. Questions on town? Okay, and the side, and a lot of discussions, street projects that were included, so I'll still identify within there. You see the revenue coming in, is what anticipated. Again, pretty healthy fund within there. So had availability. And we put that amount, but a project went back more accounts that has emerged from that trick itself. But I like looking at using sales from the street work that had been identified within the West Increment Renewal Development Plan. Moving on down to school station, we have 2 districts there. 2026 is a year, so 2 will sunset this year, and then sunset to be thrown out. So, and last year with those, which is nice. Many of you reacquired properties through that when things look better and have been able to sell and burst of the properties and back on track with it. So now you come to the conclusion. And then the last one is the clear rail park target economic development district, which operates in the same way as the TEDS. And it has some availability if there's always a potential extension of it. Some funds come in or to capture some additional development paid for by that development itself. Any questions? Any of the tax increment funds? Jared, any further you wanted to address?
So update white proper still move forward. Hopefully have a the environmentals done the sailing plan. Plan is back the NSF. They're doing the environmental on it. Subject to their approval. Be closing on that property. So.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Any questions? We can end public works. Let's see. Start off in the general administration. Okay. Getting out a whole lot in here. The things upping, real limited. So there's thing in terms of what I'll try to do better.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The aerial imagery we update every year. We have under that we use. We partner with Whitefish to pay for half of that cost. The vendor wouldn't split invoice just Kalispell or just Whitefish. That so $1,000 that line item contract will come back to us in the city of Whitefish. That's why it got created this year. Otherwise, this fund pretty much stayed same.
Depends on the aspect of public works. Then we'll move into the store revenue funds. And again, so many of these are just, plug and play from the work plans, the rate studies that went into those. Let's see. Pretty, the health fund bounces maintaining itself. So we get to the main, again, this is our, some of the things we have within the book work department. Oh, except there's a little more in there, so maybe highlight in these, but machinery equipment in this year's. So if there's anything you want to highlight, Susie, it's another program.
Yeah, similar to last year. Sometimes you'll see an electricity increase in this budget line item, but we are anticipating an increase from head electric for those flat rate or municipal lights. You'll see a difference in the other fund for just electricity. This is the flat rate lights and municipal luminaires, so it's a little different category, and they let us know that they didn't anticipate an increase. So the increase you see just from growth as we bring in subdivisions and we have more street lights added to our light maintenance. So that's that is. We did add central garage transfer in this fund because you have trucks that are sorted by central garage out of this one, so we thought it was important to add that in as a component. That
You look into all, I said, I don't know if last year before that, sometime, the new tech for lighting, after, brightness for several hours and after 2 a.m. then it dims and saves on electricity.
I hadn't looked into any of that. Like I said, the majority of lights are actually operated and maintained by Hedelec, and we pay them a flat rate, and they care lights for us. It includes the mirrors. So.
Okay.
We'll move on. Unless there's anything else. Stop at any point in time and moving forward. I don't cut off any type of session. Gas tax. Susie, I'll turn it over to you. The project, we have expender out of the paved maintenance, and it'll probably be on here.
Sorry, wrong.
Is that, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It was transferred over from Barca. It's a paved maintenance, I'm sorry.
So yeah, this year are we in the maintenance section of it. This year we did create that line item where we transferred all the bar funds to the gas tax, just make it a little easier to manage. And I think Barca away they just moved it into gas tax funding, so you won't see Barca anymore after this year. It all got transferred to this one, and you see the line item that got brought in, that 355. So same funds spent the same way on mill and overlay and jail products.
We probably have the revenues. Yep. Revenue in the Barca, so.
We didn't increase any of the other items. We felt we were pretty solid on remaining MO items, especially for diesel road oil. We thought that was efficient. Even though typically when we in our contract with the state, the dicer does go up a little bit, but we thought the fund was efficient this go around. So, don't really have anything different to add in the gas tax portion.
Susie, do you have any idea what the actual was for every asphalt and concrete materials this year?
Specifics for the quantity of asphalt.
I know there was a huge jump in price because the price of oil, to some of the companies, they went way up. I was just wondering if what we budgeted last year covered it, or if it was extra, or not enough.
Well, we always make work. I don't even remember when we were going through the budget system. I plan out so many projects to get on it. If a project isn't higher, then we might have to drop a project at the end of the season and we carry that up to the next year. So I always make the budget work for the projects that we have. But I get you exact number we spent on our mill and overlays.
I was just wondering if the price continues to go up or if it has stabilized.
Well, the price we got for asphalt went a little bit, and with this bid, I was in front of council, so it'd go a little bit, yes. So from when we developed the new estimate, that price and it went up a couple dollars in that regard. And then we just bid chip seal went up significantly because if you recall last year we didn't do a chip seal. So this year we did bring some chip seal to that. And really what it does, it kind of lowers the amount you go a mill overlay, you can do chip seal. So I really just manage that way. I can bring up a summary.
It's not super important. I was wondering if it's continuing to make huge jumps every year. Not.
I'll have to go back. I can do based off because we do an increase help us offset those increasing costs. So we were able to keep with our estimated 3 to 4 miles of mill and overlay. We set those kind of target goals 3 to 4 miles mill and overlay. For none chips, and then about a half a mile reconstruction. We haven't met the reconstruction goal quite yet because we're still awarded another reconstruction project. So by the end of this school year, we'll get that part. So we're meeting goals from when we set a street assessment as far as it means.
Thanks.
The other thing that I asked her to look up today, we've already spent just a cost. Don't think when you do mill overlays, you are wired to make 88 improvements. So in fiscal year 25, we already spent almost $100,000 in 88 improvements. It's a very costly component of mill overlay and good payment. Kind of extra. We also anticipated that cost and we put that in estimates. We know we have to do 80.
Okay. Talked about FARSA going to gas tax. Maintenance fund. Again, that one that council addressed last year through multiple in-depth conversations related to work in the rate structure. Susie, want to highlight the different components?
Yeah, look at the budget as a whole, as far as revenue and expenditures, the fund looks really good. It's a healthy fund. We were able to utilize the money from if we focus on management, we were able to utilize the additional $200,000 from the TIF district. We applied to projects in that area. And we'll do now every year. We identify projects on a help support ongoing maintenance need in that district and the rest of the city. We look at M&O here. Really, we'll see increases in supplies where we have inflation costs. So our paints and supplies, our cutting edge and brooms, we just minor increases where we're seeing increased costs come up. The central garage transfer for streets because the majority of equipment in the streets department. So you'll see a very large central garage transfer in there. That's normal. A little more when we get to central garage, we kind of already reviewed adding an additional employee, definitely increases all those transfers. Component of it. Other than that, for M&O, nothing really substantial has changed.
So I hate to derail our conversation, but when we looked at levy for sidewalks and other infrastructure and just not do that, we talked about coming at budget setting and looking at available funding to it undoubtedly. Want to open that door and see what we have to. I think this proposal you have, Mayor.
Where would insert here for one of some kind of fund for sidewalks?
Should out what you want to do.
Right.
What project you want.
And next question is look at the numbers. Part of what we want to look at is do we have X money? Kind of like you look at, well, we got money here.
So I'll say
get to the
this
end.
plan was not built then.
I know.
Yeah, it's street and it's fund sidewalk.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm
Okay.
just
sorry.
made of the sidewalks. I'm not talking about the fund. Yeah.
Okay. There.
But just in general, what I'm looking at is when we come with a budget, kind of see where we are overall. And then, okay, now we've got some extra room where, we got 20 minutes sitting, okay, we want to leave money. I think we do. We don't. But look where we are total and then say, okay, is there something we want to back in on something? That's what I look at versus trying to budget it in now. Where are we total? And have a work session and look at this much. We have some number of bills that we levy. Do we want that money and do something else?
Then after tomorrow night, we would have work session to.
That would be the thought to see where we are at the total budget. Go, is everyone comfortable with doing we have room? And if we have room, then we'd go there.
So if we're not going to know what we're going to be August.
And that it'll be
And I'm put out there, we also have, as I identified a letter, the works on the crush building itself that may not be wise to start a scene fund for.
Right. Another thing that we need to look at, we have extra money. Sidewalks, we can fund this, and then we try to prioritize there and go, okay, here's what we have, here's how to use. That's what I get when I was told budget. Because it's got, we only have much from one or the other.
Right.
Makes sense. I mean, we're not,
Yeah, I guess, it's a very complex budget, right? And I think staff, they're making decisions all the time and what present to us, right? And I think Mr. Russell, correct if I'm wrong, of how you would prove it done, but to kind of come in afterward and say, because I don't know what staff's preferences where, like, we decide whether or not when we prioritize one fund, and so then it's like, okay, where can we pull from to make it happen, right?
and there's a budget policy document.
Right.
So now we go through the presentation and we see it. That's okay. We have this in front of us. Work session. We don't vote on it tonight. It's 2 work sessions. So may very well come back to the next council and say, I have to look at budget and take some out of this section and put some out sidewalks. And then have that discussion and say, we go to work session on it. It might be where we have 5 bills left over. We go, let's do sync on this. What is the priority? This is a policy document. And that's what you look at. That's your budget, staff recommends. It's up to us to decide, is there a policy decision need where they're made? And staff and say, let's cut council salaries, health benefit, and let's put that money in block.
Actually, but, you look at the screen, but that's the reality of it. You have a dedicated funding source, right? So I don't, that's, you can't make those decisions. This is recommended based on service levels have been identified, that provide to the city. You ask what the preference is, we built a little garage because it needs not to go away. You talk about, preference on a rail sidewalk, it'd be the lead. But that conversation for ended because there was not a desire to move forward with that. So that goes back to policy level discussion. So we're not going to find that source of funds in a preliminary budget when it's in a policy direct. So it is that. So you'll make another area, is that the council's prerogative to make policy decisions.
Is the central garage transfer increased because of new vehicles?
Personnel.
There's a couple component, but the majority of it is personnel.
Okay.
And you'll see it in Central Bridge's budget when we get it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, okay, so streets, M&O, got through that. We did create a capital line item for option purchase potential property in the northern western area of Kalispell to help have a satellite facility to store materials and equipment for services throughout the year. That was in the street assessment planning vision as we move forward. So hopefully we'll have the opportunity to purchase some property and some facilities for the crews in the northern western areas of the city.
So just so everyone knows, because we talked a little bit about this when talking about the central garages that are going to put me in, or the property purchases, what we would do is find one that is, we'll put an option on it, a low cost contract that gives us right to purchases it. We bring it back to council for ratification. So is it take 2/3 vote of council to acquire property to give us that opportunity to express that interest in any parcel that would meet that need, at least have under at least our option to buy later in time in council discussion review.
Okay, moving down.
The machine equipment.
Yep. This year, as part of our capital improvement program, we are going to purchase a new dump truck to replace scheduled 2006 PV equipment that is need to go. It's in very deep, and we need to get a new. We're also going to purchase a new back truck trailer. I don't know if anybody's seen our back truck trailer. It's kind of a 2-piece. We pull trailer. It's got vacuums on it. Comes in. It's very efficient, and we are able to move around town in a much faster manner. We have one of those. As our division trees start to grow, we are getting more leaves, so it just helps up on leaf and through that leaf collection season. And then you'll see throughout several funds we are wanting to purchase loader forks. They're quite expensive, but will help us lift heavy machineries and equipment to help maintain machineries. And we just don't have it right now. This is more of a city item for us. We just a better way to lift heavy equipment in pieces. That's what's in the street equipment. There is quite a money in there left over from carryover. We ordered pieces of equipment. They just didn't arrive quite yet. So we'll see some of the remaining money is in there is carried over from last year until we get pieces of equipment.
Question on the street? Matt Grant, non-existent?
Yeah, non-existent.
I say that exists. It's
Yeah,
not.
we haven't heard it's fund again, so don't anticipate receiving funds from the Mackey.
We have a couple projects there. 2 Mile Ave project we received from congressional appropriation. That's still in process. Had a lot of good interaction with through.
Yeah, it's a HUD grant.
So it's moving forward on planning and work on that. In the 4 Mile Ave project with 4 council just tonight. So budget probably changed a bit. So we'll make those adjustments. Questions on any of those? Now we'll move down to the enterprise funds. Okay, water. Susie, I'll turn over to you. I want to highlight, say, the all self-contained funds based on our water rates and work plans.
Into water, okay. Let's see, hitting the highlights, M&O, we did add a new time operator in this year's budget. As a component of planning, we needed a new operator to help us service a lot of new water facilities that we're bringing online and just all of the new development and maintenance activities. So that's great. You see our large increase for us, M&O comes with electricity. We are anticipating a 4.1% increase in electricity, and we're also going on through wells. You see that add cost in the budding line on their electricity. We have funds. We are doing a facility plan at this time. We're fortunate enough to get some grant funding for that, but do some money in the budget to help support that math plan is complete. We'll move right into impact fee and study for the water you'll set in the sewer and also trying to move through that process. We have seen increased costs for hydrants. We increased the line item accordingly. We have seen, if you focus on line item 425, pumps and well, we've just kind of a bit of an unfortunate year this year. We've a lot of pumps go down for our well facilities. Our arm well actually went down and had to rewind the motor last month. It's up running now. So we've just a lot of costs. There's a Buffalo Hill had to purchase a new motor, wouldn't repair that one. So what you see the carryover to help pay for the cost to replace that. So we're talking $250,000 to replace that motor and spider going down to the column. So it costs a lot of money on our wells down. But we're not going to because they'd all be in really good shape for the coming year. Hopefully, the ones that haven't out, they is old school. So hopefully, we're good.
Say it.
Just say. So any questions on that? Because that was really high, but you see that some of that money in there is like to help pay for flow, and then still have money in the budget in case you have another go down.
How's our meter replaced? Or it's down here.
Meter replace are going really well. We're able to replace about 1,200 meters a year. We are about 55% complete in replacing all of them. We anticipate, we're hoping we are done in enough years and we mulched over the meters. And it's been a really good program. We've got great feedback on the mirrors and the real-time feedback for what leaks occur. Harry was sharing with me, there was an actual leak up at Hunt and Ranch. They're leaking 1,000 gallons a minute.
Oh,
1,000 gallons an hour. And we caught it right away with the meter. Whereas we had another leak for somebody else that didn't have the meter. We didn't catch it till we read it that much. So that won't have to be a big bill for that, couldn't he? So it is, yeah. So we're at a 500,000 gallon leak. Yeah. So we weren't able to catch till we read it because it was the old metering system. So, they're great. It's really able to have the real time. I don't know how many people have on water counts. Do you know?
I should know. I think it's about 8% of battery meters have signed up for high on water.
Really hard to get people to, sign up and utilize that. Options where we push it out a lot. Ours does a really good job of actually looking at the meter usage. So we're looking at that and when we see stuff, that's when we're notifying people too. So we have a real proactive step to help kind of try to identify leaks before they get big.
Right.
On that. And the badger meters help us do the system. So
I would
really
just say from Fairton's perspective, it helped us a bit. I mean, we really, I've got a guy that every morning he's looking at his meals to see, okay, where's our leak? Might be a quarter gallon every day or something, but he's out there looking at it. So, would just take manpower to if we expedited from a 3 year down to like a 2 or 1.5 year?
manpower
Or just
for us
manpower?
to get in there. We're getting appointments, taking to people's houses. We have a different prong approach. If meter fail, if the old meters fail, we're in there replace it, but then we schedule just automatic placement for some of the larger meters, trying get it into everybody's house as fast as we can.
Okay.
It's manpower.
Okay.
We decided not to bring somebody else on, help us do that changeover faster. We just wanted to take it right here.
I just think
Okay, let's go. We want to go through capital bonded debt or capital bonded projects. We've been for so many times on almost all these projects, so it's a little bit of a read. I could. Is there any questions anybody has on any other projects?
Say, if you feel bad going through it, but this quickly, the hours this is spent on all these funds. I was trying to think back there. I also go back and look at the meetings and calculating those. Because I spent a lot of time on those projects and then go through there. So And there's follow those workers in the study that Ken already gone to.
New capital project coming in this year. We got 6th Street East, or 6th Street West, and about 100 feet of rehab and replacement, really old main. We have projects coming in. We have carryover projects that are going out bid and be starting construction on this summer. We're working through some of that. The lead service line replacements are did create a line item to help support some of that construction. Found out the SRF funding and the given didn't pay for meter pits. As we're getting new service lines, we're going to be putting in new pits. So we needed to set those costs. One of the new line items we added into capital was tracking upsizing, and if you recall, in our water impact fee, we have upsizing line item where we, when and the subdivision is required to, let's say, put an 8-inch and then upsize that to a 12-inch, then we extend to the next division. It's kind of like an extension policy we utilize. We typically bring that in for impact fees. We don't have enough impact fees for all the development that's coming in. And it's very important that we use bigger lines at this time, and to having to rip up the road. The amount of money we put in right now is going to save us, I'd say, millions later on. It's important. So just wanted to be able to cover the cost. Planning for some of the projects is difficult because you are planning based off of a developer's timeframe. So while we know they're coming, sometimes it takes that development to completion. It takes 2 or 3 years, and sometimes it takes 1 year. So we're trying to figure that out. But I want to make sure we have enough money to cover the cost, as a lot of subdivisions are actually starting to be completed and applied. So that's what that is. Question? A lot of really good projects in water here.
Which line item was that?
That is 90 contracting. I think I don't know exactly if we'll be sending that or not. It's that if a lot of them done are platted and accept, then we might have to cover those costs because we have a lot coming in right now at the same time for those. So, Eagle Valley Ranch, Message, Mountain Estates, any subdivision here pretty much has one. It's with Bloomstone, Kalispell North Town Center, Message, Mountain View Sters, Parkland Meadows, Starling. Yeah, there's just sort of them. Okay.
Susie, is there a line item for that Foster, the one that we bought?
Emerging contaminants, yes.
Or is it just docking with emergency contaminants response?
Yes, it is in the capital outlay bonded at the line item. Capital outlay bonded.
99.
99.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not a lot else on water. Any questions?
Keep scrolling down too.
I do have another question on that cost decontamination unit.
Yeah.
So those pellets need to be so we do something after so long, right?
Yep, after they're spent, after it's spent, we do have to dispose of them appropriately.
I have an avenue for that. We take it to Spokane. What's going on?
I do believe there are a couple avenues. We have to contract somebody to haul it to a facility that would eventually, I believe, incinerate it. But I know who to call when it's spent. Yes.
Yeah, well, my question that is, are we taking it out of water and putting it in the air to do that, or what's going on?
I mean, no, the facility is regulated also, so
Okay.
they would be regulated to take contaminated waste and dispose of it appropriately in regards to the Federal Clean Air Act or Federal Clean Water Act, RCRA, right? So they're not be doing it inappropriately.
Well, my request is because we're going to be using this a long period of time, every we did that, and there's maintenance costs with it, there's disposal costs with. Can you have a separate line items for that?
Well, this time the grant is paying for everything. So
Okay.
in disposal of the first media, as it gets spent, that's a part of the grant component. So it's being tracked within that line item. But we, all things considered, when we get the dry bridge slew wells and the off center wells in, we should need to use grant so we wouldn't need to use 3 maintenance.
Yeah, there it's not ongoing.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's not ongoing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reason about it because if future needed at another well and where it's mobile, we can move it there, right?
Yeah.
But still, there would be we don't that.
I 100% with right. It's just that it seems like it's going to be something in our inventory for a long period of time, and there's costs associated with maintaining and whatever. Even though it's paid for by the grant right now, what is funding away?
Sorry, can you say that again?
At some point, we're going to have to spend our money to do the thing because the grant will no longer be around, right?
At the point that this first round material, in regard to the treatment unit, when the first round of material is spent and disposed, it would be on the cities. It would be the city to then spend money to put material back into the treatment unit.
Okay.
It's at the tune of about $250,000.
Yeah, that's why at that time it would be able to have a certain item. So
Sure.
that just put your thing there.
Yeah, I think normally in my mind it would be it would come in and you'd see it in your chemical, chlorine chemical a line item, so you'd see it in the line item.
All right, that's good.
Cost, and we will spell out in description.
Thanks for clarification on that. I just know that the grant was covered disposal.
Yep, one time.
Okay.
Yep, that is written in the grant. Yep. Are there other questions on water?
And impact fees for some of these projects. If there's anything different in there that you want to address, Susie? under the
No,
expenditure?
they're pretty much the same project that we've had before. You can see the line item, 930, the contract makeup size. There is a significant amount of fund there, but so many projects we have really that are waiting or participating in that size. So it's just a really good opportunity for us to head of development through that. That's it about it. As I said before, we assume the facility plans are complete, then we'll move into reviewing impact fees for water and mineral.
Is Impact the Advisory Committee got to over these on it? Or Phil?
Well, they met and approved the police and fire, which will come to us someday. Remember how people,
We have 4 people that are part of the advisory committee.
So we have 3 open seats.
That's what I thought. Okay.
okay, to the sewer fund. And it was just updated the plan based on recent raise. We get into MO.
Sewer collection. You're gonna see just the same type of pattern as far as maintenance operations. We have an increase in electricity with that rate hike, so we adjusted accordingly for that. Other than that,
And item 425 is because of the issues of back this year, part of that in there too, or?
material. Are you talking 25 material
Yes.
pump station? Yep. So that money is there for when the facilities sell, and we need to purchase pump or facility components to keep the stations operating. Yep.
Okay.
Sometimes we spend it all more, and sometimes we spend a little bit of it. So it's just money there for when the lift stations fail.
How much total are we spending this year in impact fee rate study?
Well, the facility plans
Facility plan?
are the expensive ones.
Okay.
They do
Yeah.
modeling,
Okay.
but the value of them has seen outside public
Right.
works as realigning projects and just projects. So not doing unnecessary multi-million-dollar projects, but for ways because of the modeling that emerges through it. So that's out of the engineering session. Susie, if you want to extend on just those values.
I get that. I was just saying that was, I thought it was for the impact fee.
So
itself,
their facility plan cost components in there. Although we were fortunate enough to get the grant that Aaron talked about, so I don't actually anticipate us spending all that. I just we're not to the end of the facility plan, so I can carry both.
Yeah, 312,000, that pro housing grant go to water facility plan, and 312,000 go to the work facility plan.
Yeah.
A lot of that in there by that pro housing grant.
Yep. So I actually don't anticipate us spending all that. Just I'm a cautious person, so. But we will have to hire a consultant to help us with our fees and the rate stays.
What is line 12?
Do you have any claim or nebulous? We have some that go through MIA, they have some that, come back and say, source may be worth, resting, so.
Yeah, in some instances where MMA might say there's the city and we have to pay out on claim, then we use that line item. We've also fund $15,000 out of the line item for goodwill expenditures. We do have a resolution, I believe, for goodwill expenditures. Let's say somebody has a back in their house and their insurance doesn't pay for it, and we have the opportunity to go through a process to provide them with some funding to help offset some costs to repair house. So that's what that is for.
Down into machinery and equipment, if you have other questions.
If you look at our capital projects, we got a new capital project, our sewer main replacement. I had to do I a little bit. We're at 923 sewer main, Second Alley West. That 2 blocks is $1.8 million. If you want to see the increase of costs for what it costs to replace mains through alleys, sewers, it's pretty expensive. If somebody about costs going up, you see it in construction, especially in sewers, in alleys. Lift station 36 improvements. That is a carryover from last year, but we're improving regional lift station north of town. Pretty much receives sewage from almost all of north of Reserve and comes through on lift station, so we're updating and upsizing that lift station. So that's a very major project. It should be going to be here in the next couple weeks. We're just waiting for EQ review, so that will be happening very soon.
Do you put that in parallel and then take the other station?
Yes.
Or-
Yeah, the other one. Yep.
same stuff, pretty straightforward in our cap plans.
I have a question on the sewer piece, the capital projects. I get what this piece is called, but we had drained it and put a line in it. Does that ring a bell?
Slip lining?
What's that?
The slip lining project?
It was a big piece of equipment at the sewage plant, and it was corroding inside, so we needed to.
Digester tank?
What's that?
Fermenter.
The fermenter.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
it's in the wastewater treatment plant budget.
Okay, all right, so I'll tell you.
Yes, fermenter.
Which please come right. Water treatment plant.
There's a leading question. For you're gonna see that again. Treatment plant does use quite a bit of electricity, so the 0.1% increase does definitely increase our budget for electricity. The contract services for Glacier Gold, we revised the contract, so we will have to pay a higher tipping fee start July 1st. So this budget accommodates that. That's about it for treatment plant maintenance and operations. As we get into our capital projects, we've got some really good capital projects coming in. We plan on installing domes on secondary clarifiers. What we have happening is we've algae growth that's occurring in the secondary clarifiers, which then is getting into, well, first it kind of inhibits secondary clarifier, the algae in there, but really what it affects is tertiary sand filter treatment. It's actually the sand filter down right now. There's about 2 feet of algae growing down at the bottom that I have to clean out, and then we put them into service. So it's just an ongoing issue that we have. We're going to get dome on those secondary clarifiers. The other item that's in here are new influence screens, and the screens just kind of screens out all of the solids, if you will, pieces at the influent portion of the plant. So we need to improve our screen. Right now, screens are in there. Some of the materials are being by and material by it can do the biosolids, which then inhibits our treatment process. So just making some improvement there. We have if we go down capital bonding, that's the fermenter. The fermenter is empty at this point. We have a contractor that will start rehabbing fermenter, saying the lid will be lifted off of the fermenter, and we're going to get in there and blast it. Actually, I think it's our blasting it and water blast it. We coat everything and then put it all back up, and we'll be up and running for the fermenter. Our next large capital project will be to build out the equalization basin. If you recall, we actually bid one other time, and this came substantially high. So we had to adjust budgets, and we are back to bidding the project again. It's very important to have enough equalization to provide uniform flow through the treatment process, so we don't get plug flow, because our microbes really they like things to be very routine. And that's what the e-basin is for us. And we're in our custody for that. And of course, we also work on the biosolids dewatering project. We are working on that as fast as we can. We actually are working procuring equipment to get that going, and then we're got our queue out for the alternative bid process for to bring a contractor to help us install that piece of equipment. So we're working really hard on those projects, but that kind of is all the the major projects. Everything else, as far as with our treatment plant replacement fund, is typical budgeting that we utilize to replace pumps, motors, piping, valves, things that need replaced and malfunction because of corrosion in a wastewater treatment. Anything? Are there any questions on that? So the biggest we have now. Similar water we have in lift and lift are the biggest we have now. Similar water we have in lift and liftation size. So also have these allocated towards projects, development projects are coming in. So same as water. And then the capital projects that support new growth are also allowed in our EQ basin, solids, big screw presses, and then up as a bluestone. We have a size of a small pipe. So we had to size that to the development down south by Rican School in that area. So.
Sure. Well, any follow-up questions on the treatment? Storm sewer.
Actually, I have working news. I don't. It's very similar to last year's. As far as facility planning, we are getting close to the end of the stormwater facility plan. We're about 85% done, and then we are moving right into impact. We're on impact study, so that we cover stormwater very soon. will, the completion of our facility planning for stormwater, we're gonna have a model for majority of the city council, so hydraulic model, comparable to sewer and water utilities. So it's really exciting. It's super supportive when we new development coming in and asking us about the capacities of our system to be able to model it and show them what the capacity is and the effect will be from a development. So very powerful tool in having good model and updated modeling. Is there any questions on water? No.
Budget, I mean, and all that started escalation and this one with the S4 permit 5 years ago.
With the project we identified as a part of that, was our increase was actually quite
A while ago.
It was, yeah.
Yes.
22. I mean, you remember better than I was thinking.
Still
The last one,
We had a new,
Yeah.
the implementation of a new program.
right.
it ended in 22.
It ended in 22.
Well, it was several years, so it ended in 22.
Because planning regulation.
Right.
Some stormwater.
I
comment.
only had the MDL requirement for
Right.
permit, and we did implement our quality treatment. As far as the TL act plan for stormwater, we have installed all of the water quality units except for, and what I'm working on. So, there's 2 legs drainage that come into the Meridian system that charge you some creek, the flag, or the easterly leg. We're working on the one on Meridian right now. So that's our focus, and then we'll shift to the one. And really, very, very good news that we've implemented all our water quality treatment for the MDL action plan. So it's good things. Do have a capital outlay project for a stormwater decant facility. Will be located behind wastewater treatment plant complex in our material storage yard back there, and that will receive waters and sediment slurry from our actors as we clean out stormwater system. Right now we dump a B pit, and it doesn't manage the water very well, so we're gonna give a great facility for it to be able to dump into. Again, we are required to maintain our stormwater system, and cleaning it helps meet our permit, so kind of all together on once. We did budget monies to support the 2-mile drive drainage and improvement project, and really what that money is the contingency. We haven't bid it out yet. We have a bit of really good construction money, but we just need to have contingency, and thought we're going to use all of grant fund in the contingency portion of it. So that's what you see here is for contingency purposes. Yeah, any questions?
Okay. And back, we support the same projects that have gone through, three over opponents, really nothing much in there unless I'm saying Susie.
They're really changing the smart.
Okay. Going to solid waste, which came with council. So Susie, if you can hit up, we're implementing from this plan.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty exciting year for us. We were able to purchase the front loader. We're going to transition to front load commercial services this summer when we get that new truck delivered. We anticipate it's going to be in the middle of the summer, so you'll see us transitioning to front load services. We purchased all of the adapter kits that we need to adapt our current steel bins, our 2-yard steel bins. So they're busy putting adapt on right now, and so that actually will be happening for us this year. With the purchase of 2 pieces of equipment, we are going to need facility park under. So in this budget, you'll see, we kind of reviewed it a month or so ago. We will have to construct a facility to house the equipment. It'll just be very airborne heat facility because we just need to make sure that the equipment stays warm in their times we're able to utilize it. So that will go behind the shop complex. It'll either be, kind of as I reviewed, it'll be where the central garage facility will be someday, or behind it, or to the south of it. We'll hire a consultant to do some lighting, planning on that and forward with the construction of the building. You know, as far as the things that we implemented for the solid waste, we did implement the fall spring cleanup. We didn't get much activity from the fall cleanup, but I think because it was new, it was the first time it started to pick up. But our spring cleanup is actually next week, and that's for residential rollout customers, you recall. So, it's actually when we're out there collecting, residents are very appreciative of that service. So I think it's a great service, and it's pick up in the fall too. It was a little bit later than what we expected, but good program all around. So yeah, solid waste is really.
Questions on solid waste? Okay, we are nearing the end. Of course, I can stretch out. Okay,
I want to go back and argue again about these people who, just kidding.
Go let those.
Oh, Ms. Carroll, you have your hand up?
Quickly, back to what Susie just mentioned, how will that word get out, Susie, so people know about the rollout service?
You know, I do utilize the social media platforms that we have. So it is great, and she pushes a message for us. It's on the webpage. But other than that, I don't have any alternative avenue. Open to suggestions if anybody has any.
So putting in the container.
Not anymore.
Okay.
The notes are on the container, so we need to go out and tag anymore.
Even if we publish the date in advance, if no, that'd great for people to
Yeah.
kind of plan for it.
Yeah, we do try to do that. So it's on the website now for the spring clean. You'll see that I pushed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Under the ARPA, we just have one project for that, or it's in process.
Yep. Right now we have Fermenter project, which is supposed to start up, and the money needs to be spent at the end of this year, so down to the wire on our projects. But the Fermenter has to be completed summer coding have to go on, so I don't anticipate any issue with that. But yeah, it's what we can say. Woo.
Okay, and last we have tonight is Central Garage, which we just had a work session. There's where additional personnel is.
Yeah, we did a work session, so I don't know if it still has any extra questions on Central Garage. We pretty much brought to the budget what we posed in the work session. A new full-time employee help us maintain and service the fleet that we have. The increases you see in M&O really have to do with the cost of parts and the number of pieces of equipment they have to make. That's the increase in there. Yes, I mean, that's pretty it. There was a question on the transfer amounts. So really what we do is we keep these the annual budget expenditures and that split amongst all of the, I think it's 16 different funds. I got 6 different ones, proportionately based off of their cost allocatings over average over 3 years.
Any questions?
Living in the counter own house. Gabriel?
I'm happy.
Cat did.
Thank you. That was Gabriel's free.
Follow-up questions. The other thing I'd say, we had a lot of discussion tonight, but for staff perspective, when we assemble budget, if council's addressed the topic and has moved forward, we're not looking for ways to get in the budget. And we talked about housing, talked about trails and sidewalks, but same like code enforcement. Council did not move forward on that program, so we're not looking for ways to put in the budget. If you want to revisit that as a council topic, that's great. We're not going to look for ways to put that in the budget, and the council prioritizes it for us. So I said, good discussion tonight, but that's just on our turn going forward. Once it goes through council, and I use code enforcement as an example because, as you know, I recommend going forward with that program. Council did not move forward with it. It is a Friday, it's not budget. The thing with the topic comes before council, so I just reiterate that. Like I said, good discussion, and meet the further discussion later on. We're not going to close in our bid and not look for ways to fit in. Let's take council priority, that avenue. Again, when I get through public works, in addition to any other department, we've made a lot of good way. And so tomorrow night, we have IT, Park and Recreation, which we just through that, police and fire, which is based on levy. So I had mentioned tonight, we're a little bit quicker. But again, and I say this every year, I tell you how I appreciate council going through all of the plans and the great studies because it just makes it so much easier as we assemble the budget and present forward. So appreciate all the discussion tonight. If there's nothing else, I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Yeah, and I think I'll just reiterate. I mean, the budget process is staff working through the board section, what we establish priorities. First priority is delivering on successes, and then layer on top of that. Every budget, from hospitals, publicly to campus, et cetera, we're set on board, review the budget. So we review the budget, preliminary format to see if we have to really look at the board priorities. It's the council priorities. So after tomorrow, I encourage you to look to see where we're at because we have always held the belief that we want 20% reserve. We want that safety margin, level of safety within our budget process. 20% general fund in case we do get bad economic time. We've rained before, twice. And so we have that buffer. But when we look at the mills, we've all cut in our pocket. Sometimes it is just really acknowledge the taxpayers. We are watching out for money. It's their money. It's not our money. So when we have a fewer pocket, have a system, but don't have very good to use it. If we find somewhere we think, yes, this is a good use for those mills, if there's some left on the table, or conversely, as I said, I don't think council should get paid in health benefits, put it in sidewalks. If you don't think we should have a new front loader or some piece of equipment probably works, okay, great. It does to staff. I think we will shake that out of our priority. I know you heard from it before, but I think we rather focus on this. We council approve that, and it's really up to staff to figure out how they fit in now. We have not really done that in the past because we work through these plans year in and year out on a regular basis. When we get to this point, we're all pretty comfortable with what's in our expenditure list. This is a priority document, or this is a document that embodies the priorities of the council body itself to deliver services to the citizens. As we've said so many times before, the citizens demand they expect us to deliver. It's a level of service request. So when we hear a ponderance of we need more from the citizens, it does figure out how to do it. If we're here to citizens say, stop, don't do this, well, better stop and not do that. Being responsive. Flip side, went back out to the public. We asked for the safety levy. They passed it. Nice to see that, and it made our budgeting process a lot easier to deliver basic services. So, I want to thank the public for stepping up in that safety levy because it did make our job in this budget easier. Have but effort in this budget easier because we're not cutting a lot of things wise at the council level. So staff beats the budget on a regular basis, and there's things they'd love to have in here. So they understand where we are with what we have available. So I applaud them for that too. So I just never understand that. So we get through this process. After tomorrow, we have preliminary budget notes and heads. On the following meeting or the meeting after that, go, went through this and want to be up for idea is something else that they're prioritized over this. But what I don't recommend coming and say, I want to spend money on this. Okay, where's it come out of? And if we have mills on the shelf, great. I say I want to target mills on the shelf. If not, where else does it come out of this? Is this what we have? The pipe. So I just want to say that, reiterate, and because there has been a lot of good discussion tonight, a lot of different ideas and things float about. So I think it's important to look at and understand what this document is and what it is. So anything else, council? See you tomorrow night at 6. And you're in pizza. Ed, you're getting all the alcohol.
Okay.